water. Thanks, Nicole. How's everybody doing? So, just a show of hands, who here builds websites? Almost ever. Not David. Never built a website in his life. So, who here has heard of Hugo? Great. How about Netlify? A few. And forestry? One. Yeah, because we were talking about it the other night. The first thing that I want to talk about, though, so let's see. I've got my slides here and there. We'll go here. Okay. So what is all this? Before we start, though, just a parental warning. In this talk, we acknowledge the existence of sex. So if you're a kid or you have kids and they're watching on the live stream, just take them away for a moment. But you listen to podcasts, they do that announcement before they start. So first, Hugo. It's the world's fastest framework for building websites. Hugo is one of the most popular open source static site generators. With its amazing speed and flexibility, Hugo makes building websites fun again. So it's a great marketing spiel. It is indeed the most powerful one. It also has a very steep learning curve. So if you want something a little easier, there's others like 11D. A lot of people have heard of Jekyll. There's a handful of others. There's also just raw HTML that you can type on your computer, which is also a static site. But the power of static sites are taking a bunch of data in different shapes and sizes, Markdown, GeoJSON, whatever you have, research articles, and turning it into a website that you can present on the internet. And you can do this workflow without a database, which we'll get into in a second. Then there's Netlify. It's just a simple hosting service for a website. I picked Netlify because it's simple. So another marketing spiel, one workflow from local development to global deployment. Netlify is everything you need to build fast, modern websites, continuous deployment, serverless functions, and so much more. Or just host static content on, which is what we'll do today. Something cool that Netlify has going for it is their UX. And you can essentially go on GitHub, and there's sites and services hosted on GitHub that you have one-click deploys. You just click it, and then boom, you have a website, some random subdomain, .netlify.com. Any users of Heroku or other services? Yeah, a little bit. So they really emphasize this ease of entry, this setup phase that is sometimes kind of annoying. Whereas starting with Google Cloud or Amazon Web Services, you kind of have to spin up some more architecture that Netlify just gives you off the bat with continuous integration with GitHub and one-click things that are nice. And then lastly, which I didn't see a lot of shows of hands, this is kind of the magical part of all this. I don't know if you saw in the description of this talk how the selling point of the setup is your neighbor could edit your website, or just some random person, your mom maybe, that wants to make a website about, I don't know, what's your mom into? What kind of hobbies does she have? Anybody? No takers. Art. Cats. Okay. Okay. Great. Cliche website. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I use this where I work at Concentric Sky. A static CMS that commits. Give your editors the power of Git. Create and edit Markdown-based content with ease. And it's a good marketing spiel, but it's true. I work with a woman who is our copy editor, and she was able to commit directly to GitHub. Totally not her forte at all, but using Forestry, she was able to edit some content, and you can look in the Git log, and you can see her commit with the tree-ish hash right there. It's a co-author with Forestry, so it's pretty cool. And then lastly, just somewhere to put your code. Everybody knows about GitHub. So how do they connect? How do we tie all these disparate technologies and put them all together? This is just one particular arrangement. You could, of course, swap out Netlify for your favorite hosting provider, swap out Hugo for some other static site generator, use GitLab instead of GitHub. I don't know of alternatives to Forestry right now. Maybe you can research that for me. But essentially, on your local machine. You just have a binary. It's written in David's favorite language, Go, and it's very fast. Compared to Jekyll, for large websites, it can take almost up to a minute, say, to generate static web pages out of Markdown and other content. Hugo takes a millisecond per page in renders, so huge websites. Takes advantage of a lot of Go's parallel processing and stuff. So that you run locally. You just run the Hugo command, and you're up and running, and you can see everything with a little local web server, and you can make edits, and it has live reload built in, and it's pretty neat. And you run the Hugo build command to generate your website, kind of publish it for production. It has a bunch of built-in tooling, which we'll get into. And then remotely, you push your code to GitHub. Are people familiar with that? Pushing code to GitHub? Yeah? Okay. So pretty straightforward. And then you wire up Netlify and Forestry. So essentially, there's a hook that when you push your code to GitHub, then it continuously deploys through Netlify. So Netlify will have this hook, and once we push something, then it's like GitHub says, hey, Netlify, and then Netlify says, great, I got the content here. I'm going to check out your repo, pull it all in, and I'm going to run Hugo build. Yeah. Yeah, so I did have a slide with Hugo up here as well, because it is also running there. Yeah, exactly. But I removed it because for comparing and contrasting to the, where's my mouse? To the next slide, which we'll get into in a second. Just wanted to paint a very simple picture here. And then Forestry, you kind of do a similar thing. You generate your deploy key on GitHub, and then or you can just sign into Forestry and use OAuth to connect to GitHub. And these are all very simple things you can do in the browser. Everything gets connected, and then you're automatically just pushing, and then you see your stuff live. And then that goes both ways. So Forestry can then now commit to your repo, and then as different commits come in, then it will synchronize with Forestry. So far, this has been pretty flawless. I don't know what magic thing they're doing. It's pretty neat. I have seen where multiple editors might get in, and it'll like lock you out, and then the other editor will need to wait for you to be done editing, and then, but I haven't seen any like merge conflicts or issues. One time we accidentally committed a symlink, which totally screwed up Forestry. Don't do that. You'll have to reinstall Forestry because it gets very confused trying to like synchronize past that commit, and it's like, I don't have your local environment on this server, and then it can't kind of build your site. And actually, Hugo is also running on Forestry, so you can do live previews. Okay, so that's how they connect, and I just wanted to compare and contrast that to this. So probably most of you are familiar with this. You have a Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP stack, all separate technologies running locally. You're pushing your code to GitHub, and then you're using something like Bluehost, Apache, WordPress, PHP, MySQL remotely to serve your site, to build it, to basically render pages every time that your visitor comes to your website. With Hugo, instead of just saying like, here's the page, all done. With WordPress, it's let's do some PHP crunching, and then da-da-da-da, and grab it from the database, and like let's see if you have the permissions, and then we'll send this back to you and build it. Or maybe it's cached and it's just as fast. It's just already built and it's sent out. So there is that. But there is the additional complexity. So why not this? Well, this. I don't know if you can see that. Can you read that? No? Okay. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Breaking news. Nude sex pics. Sexy naked women. Something in Russian I don't understand. So this is a friend of mine's website. He's just a blogger. He has a big following. This is archive page. You just go to his website, you click on, the website looks completely normal, you go to his archive page, and then you get all this garbage. And it's really unfortunate that this happens, but as Nicole can probably attest to, because she cleans up all this crap all the time. It's not fun. Twice this week. Oh my goodness. So when you have all these moving parts and you have PHP and you have a database to take care of, you have a large surface area of attack. And so there's lots of things that can go wrong. Now that you have this dynamic site as opposed to a static site, then stuff can go wrong, and you can get crap like this, which is really unfortunate. So this is like the negative side. But what about plugins? Because in WordPress, you have all sorts of cool plugins, right? What are anybody know about some WordPress plugins they might use right now? Yeah? Cool. So there's all kinds of plugins in WordPress, which make it very powerful, and people can, one-click install these plugins and continue to increase the excitement and functionality of their website while also increasing their attack surface area. Exactly, as Nicole can also attest to. Yeah, exactly. And as soon as you find, I don't know if anyone went to the security, what was that talk we went to? Web security? Cybersecurity. Cybersecurity sounds much better than web security. Cybersecurity. Once you find one vulnerability in a plugin and you see that their README is also published along with the installation of the plugin, then bots and scripts can go through and kind of find all kinds of websites that have that same vulnerability. So, yeah. All right. So this is everybody's favorite part, and I'm a little nervous, but we're gonna try and do this. So let's see. First things first is switching the screen. All right, let's get our hands dirty. I think I'm also going to mirror my display so that I can look here and not get a kink in my neck while I'm looking over there trying to type. Yeah, let's see. Arrangement. Mirror displays. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Okay, can everybody see okay? Can you read that? Oh. How's that? Okay, everybody can see? Okay. Cool. So this is totally live. I didn't prepare for this, so let's see how we do. I don't remember the command to run. Great start to a demo. So I'm going to just search for it. I think it's new site. There it is. So this is an empty directory. We could create the site right here, or we could make it a subdirectory. If there's contents in here that you're not going to overwrite, you can add force. So this will just scaffold out. This just creates some directories, right? Really simple. We don't need to force anything. We can be polite. Boom. Congratulations. Demo done. No, thank you. Thank you very much. The ease of Hugo is just fantastic. Your Hugo site is now created here. You can just, right off the bat, set up a new theme. You can download a theme. You can start making, your content. I wonder where your content goes. Probably in the directory that's called content. And sure. Archetypes. That's fun. Might be a little bit of we'll do this and then I'll digress. So basically, whenever you make new content, then it uses this archetype as a blueprint, essentially. So what you're seeing there is some Hugo templating language. It'll take the name of the file. It'll replace the dashes with spaces, and then it'll pipe it through this title case function. And then also, it'll put today's date right in here, and then it'll set draft to true. So this is set up for bloggers, basically. And you can create these archetypes however you want using all of Hugo's magical functions and whatever you need, so that as you're generating new content, it can use these archetypes to kind of get you ready to go. And this is, who knows what front matter is? One person. Okay, I'll explain what front matter is. Go ahead. Yeah, exactly. And in Hugo, you can use YAML as your front matter. You can also use TOML, which stands for Tom made it, Tom language. Yeah. So that's it. I mean, it made a very basic site. If we run Hugo serve now, you'll see all this output. It generated 3 pages, 0 page and inner pages, non-page files, 1 sitemap. It gives us some warnings. This is the first kind of thing to be aware of when you're using Hugo is the error messages. They're pretty clear. They're sometimes not friendly. They're just very terse. They just spit out everything you need to know. It's not like easy sauce. You have to read it to understand it, and it presumes that you've read some documentation. So it's telling us that we found no layout file, all this stuff. We don't have a theme. The theme would normally specify these different templates and layouts. And so now if we go to this random port, because I have Hugo running in a different tmux session somewhere, probably over here somewhere. Let's see. Where's Hugo running? Let's see here. Let's see if we can kill it. There, that's probably it. We might have some other one. Oh no, dang it. I killed the one that we were just running. Okay, let's try this again. Oh man. There we go. There it is. It's the one that's we're disabling fast render. Now I think if I run this, now it's on 1313, which is the default port. So we'll go ahead and let's kill that pane. All right. We got to kill that pane. Cool. So here is the website that we just created. Thank you. It is so fast, lightning fast. So let's do something interesting. Oh man, let's see if I can remember how to do this. So we'll need to make an index page in the layouts section. So I'm going to go ahead and just say touch layouts index.html. And then we'll go ahead and edit that. Let's say hello, but let's say something more interesting. Let's say hello world. You laugh. Now, whoops, hold on. Actually, that's not where it is. Let's say .site.data.world. Let's see. Let's say .site.data.demo.world. Okay, I think that's right. All right, so now in our data directory, let's touch something else. It's a very touchy talk. Touch data demo dot YAML? Yeah? Okay, let's do YAML. All right, and then we'll go ahead and add some YAML. What was it? World? Okay. Universe. We'll make this super exciting. Is that YAML? That's valid YAML, right? Okay. So now, let's go serve. Actually, hold on. We are web designers. Hold on a second. H1. There we go. The web should be a beautiful place. Okay. All right. So now, if we refresh, there's our website. Thank you. So this should, if I can do it, you can do it too. It's pretty simple to get started. there's lots more to learn. Hugo, here's some random. Yeah, you can brew install it. If you go to GitHub, you could download a binary and put it somewhere. I have a few different binaries on my laptop, as one does. Um, So, yes. So if I go into the directory where I keep all the stuff that I program, code, I'm organized like that, and I go into data, what was it called? Demo. And we change this to masters of the universe. So on the left, on your right, my left, you saw change detected, rebuilding site. And now without even refreshing the page, no, just kidding, we refreshed the page. We get hello masters of the universe. All of you guys. Yeah, this is all running locally. It's running on the port. I think yeah, so serve will serve, I think, does it in memory. Server does rebuilds. Then there's this disable fast render flag that actually you see right there, which will do full rebuilds on every content change, which is sometimes nice if you have a really complicated site with all these like, this is complicated Hugo world, which if you go down this rabbit hole you'll get to eventually, but there's branch bundles and leaf bundles and deeply nested content arranged in certain ways. And you can iterate it over it in certain ways in templates. And sometimes, because of how files change and change detection works, you have to disable fast render to get your website looking correct. Otherwise, it just is like, let's go fast, furious, and not very safe, and it'll serve stuff up from memory and allow you to iterate quickly on large sites. So, yeah. Yeah, so it has some built-in pipes. Let's start with Sass because that's an easy one. It actually comes built in with PostCSS and Sass compilation. It'll take your Sass and turn it into CSS and minify it through another pipe, and fingerprint it automatically based on the contents of the file.
So that also includes the importing kind of thing where you can write it in multiple files, but it will.
Yes, yes. With JavaScript, not so much. You can minify it, you can fingerprint it. Do people know what fingerprinting or cache busting is? No? So basically, when you go on the internet and you get a file, your browser's like, great, I have the file. And then you decide you're going to update that file because you're the web developer and you like making websites. Then on your friend's machine, he'll be like, I already have that file. I don't need that style.css file. I already know about it. How do you tell them that it changed? Well, you use cache busting. So essentially you put like when you serve up the index page, which isn't cached, you would give like a little question mark v equals 2, right? Or v equals 3. Or maybe at build time you put the Unix epochs like timestamp on there so that you can guarantee that it's unique. Or you can guarantee that it's unique by using these ridiculously long hashes of the file contents. So anytime the file contents change, then the name of the file actually changes. And so then the browser is just forced to be like, that's definitely, I don't have that locally, that's a different name. And it will replace what you have with the new content. So 2 birds with 1 scone.
So are there ways of integrating other elements into it if you wanted to do something like that? Like
Yes.
multiple things into one using various languages and stuff?
Yes. So you'd use Webpack. Yeah. 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 So we at work we run these pattern libraries that show all these different components that we use in various marketing sites and web applications and things. And part of our build process is taking a bunch of TypeScript and turning it into JavaScript and then putting that into the Hugo static directory. and also the CSS and the images and everything. And so you can,
Do that outside of Hugo? You do that as a separate?
yeah, as a separate step. But if you want to stick with pure Hugo, you can use Hugo's resources. And so there's two directories. There's resources, and then there's static. Static is just a file that is not going to change. It's just static. Resources is stuff that Hugo is actually going to take and start munging on. So Hugo resources.
So with this,
Templating language, what?
yeah, templating language count part of it, part of Hugo?
Yes. Yeah, it's inspired by Go's templating language, I think. Loosely.
So what various options might you use for how you get that same type of live updating when you have changes to the scripts, if it's a separate process or maybe it's integrated?
Yeah.
How do you approach that?
Well, you can run Webpack in watch mode, and then it will start reading your node modules and whatever else you have, and then it'll put it into static, and then Hugo will be running at the, yeah, Hugo will be running, and then, yeah. You could run it in Tmux, you could run it with the and, yeah, in your terminal. This is resources. Can everybody see that? So that's just some, do you guys know what SCSS is? What SAS is? One. It's like, it's CSS with a bunch of extra stuff that makes it more easy to write, because CSS is kind of primitive, so it gives you for loops and all kinds of things in CSS that you wouldn't normally have. And then it takes that and it generates a bunch of CSS. So we send this SCSS to the resources to CSS function, and then we send it to the resources minify function, and then we send it to the resources fingerprint function. And so this takes care of minification and cache busting for you, and the compilation of SAS to CSS. Yeah.
So I'm noticing that the resources.minify doesn't specify a language. Does that mean it detects what language it's minifying as it runs? Is that the same one you use for other languages too?
I don't know. Good question. Yeah.
Sorry, I asked publicly.
No, it's good. Those are good questions. Yeah, plenty of stuff here. Shuffle a sequence. Take something, pipe it to HTML. Complicated Boolean algebra. Checking if things are set, like a title parameter in your front matter. Yes?
CSS, JS, JSON, HTML, FTP, or XML.
Minify. I wonder, I was thinking maybe you were more asking along the lines of like there's uglify.js, and you can pass options to that to like specify that you have pure functions, or that you have something else, or that you want to do something special with variable names.
That wasn't what I was
Yeah.
thinking, but now I can wonder.
Yeah, I do. That's what I thought you were asking. Yeah. But that is good to know. It just, it's cool, cool. This is the most important thing to know about Hugo, is that, especially if you're doing templating, is the dot. And essentially it is, it's the current context. I just read that off the screen. But it's neat. You can iterate over things, and automatically in that block, the dot will become what you're iterating over. You have variable names, so you could grab the title here, and then range over things, all sorts of stuff. Are we good on Hugo? Everybody like Hugo now? Hugo themes, all sorts of pretty little themes. It's kind of cool, actually. It's that. It's like the identical, it's the same stuff as your actual Hugo site. So it has this elegant little nesting thing, which is kind of neat. So you could have a theme that only specifies archetypes if you wanted to, and not even have any templates in there. But usually there's layouts and things. A lot of times, you know, extra stuff in static. A lot of times you'll have built-in YAML files and data for like, let's see if I can find what's a cool theme that I was using recently. responsive. Well, let's just pretend that this is the theme that I was looking at earlier. But like, for example, your LinkedIn stuff and your social media things. So you might get the theme, and it'll come with a data file that you just fill out. If you like this as a basic starting point, then you can just type in your links, and then it just populates all the places in the theme. And it'll specify, like, hey, we need your author bio and your this and that, and it will tailor it to you.
It's kind of like you download those files and change them as you choose.
Yeah, exactly.
Did have a reason to use the database? Does it have an integrated way with that, where you could do that something like you would do with JavaScript and have another script that grabs what it needs and puts it where you were going to find it?
You'd have to wire things together, yeah, as far as I know. Here's a website that I made for my dad using Hugo. He plays the banjo. He has a contact form on his website, and this is powered. You might ask, how is this possible? There's no database. But he uses a third-party service called FormSpree, and you can submit this, and it goes to his email, and he gets all the people's contact forms, and it's kind of nice. There's no open source alternative to this at the moment. And he can put pictures of his art, and he can just drag and drop this into forestry, which we should look at next. So let me log in. I'll use GitLab. Cool. So here's howdyband.com. Can you all see that? So github.com, howdyband.com. Netlify, or not Netflix. We should watch something. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. So this is these are the other two things that I talked about earlier. This is Netlify. It's building this site. It's pointing at the master branch at this commit. This is over in howdyband.com. This is the repo, so you can see these commits. So this is an update from forestry. These are updates from me, just from my local box. Add dark mode, fix contact form. So I can basically go in here and I can edit, whatever I need to. For people who are staying up late at night and they're wanting to learn how to play the banjo, but they don't want to get blasted with like a bright white website that's in their face on their phone, and they prefer the dark color scheme. So as a web designer, you can go in and you can add this content, and yeah, push it just like you normally would. And then your dad, who maybe doesn't hack, can update the site from forestry, which looks like this, essentially, just like a CMS, so a content management system. So here's like his cost page, and he can go in and he can edit it just with this what you see is what you get editor. Specials now through end of May 2020. And you save it. And he can upload media, and this will just go into the GitHub directory, because we all love tracking binary files in Git. So that's pretty much it. I didn't go over the setup because that would be long and boring. I mean, it's actually not very long, but it would be boring. There are one-click deploys. Basically, all you do is like, this would be a Git repo. So you'd say like git init. You'd go to github.com, and you'd create a new repository, and you'd say IDX demo. You could make it public or private. Since Microsoft is so nice, they give us private repos now. And then we have an existing. You like copy and paste a few lines of code, you get this weird error. Let's just add everything. First commit. Oh my goodness. This is why I didn't want to do this, but you made me do this. Get push dash u origin head with 1D. There we go. Now we have a master branch on our sweet. Refresh. There's our Git repo. Cool. So now all you have to do, I already have it connected, so I think I can just, let's see. Go back here. New site from Git. Just find the big green button. That's all you have to do. Find the big green button. Continuous deployment, Bitbucket, GitLab, GitHub are the supported, stuff where, because Git, is a centralized. I'm just kidding. Everything is on GitHub. It is a decentralized thing. So now we have to find the one that we just made by typing in IDX and hitting enter. And hopefully it finds it. There it is. We set it up. And then we just deploy the site. And we're done. And then it's like site deploy in progress. It's yep. Cool. I have not gotten a bill yet, so it's it's a.
Pretty much free. I think you can have like maybe a limited amount of sites per like account. Oh wow! But what's their business model? They have like add-on fees. So like if you want analytics or you want like pipeline stuff, like you pay extra for that. Huh.
Yeah.
There's probably traffic cap too. Yeah, that too. Usually it's like free under a certain tier. Right? I think it's under 500 users.
Yeah, and then they offer kind of like like a Lambda sort of thing and a identity service. So
How does the forestry part look into that? Like, how does it know which files and in what way and all that kind of stuff? Is that connected to Hugo or is that independent using a different process?
it is independent. So yeah. Here are the other static sites, static site generators. If you're not sold on Hugo, there's lots more to choose from. Vue, Press, Gatsby, 11T.
Does it auto-detect based on the contents of the repo of what kind of deployment you do, or do you tell it?
I think when I was setting it up, it asked me if it was Hugo. Apparently, it failed.
So it looks like it's not completely just over, but they have specific ones that they've designed it to, right? It looks like
Error. Error building site. Did I not? Oh, I know why. Because Git or content is just an empty directory, so it doesn't get picked up by Git.
So it doesn't exist.
So it can't. Yeah. So like if we removed poor Netlify, it's confused, and we would be too. Wait. No, we're fine. Wait, did it just create? No, it didn't. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. Make dir content touch content index.md. Now we have an index file. I think that's what it wants. Let's just add content. Say again?
For forestry, did you need a GitHub account?
No. You can create an account with Forestry, or you can use OAuth. You can use GitHub or GitLab or one of their.
But if you had that, you'd have a Git account.
Yeah. It's Bitbucket. Yeah.
Right. But you have to have an account for one of the services.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, for your dad, so your dad has
No, he just needs a forestry account. Yeah, no GitHub account.
Forestry is probably going to be set up with some sort of token from that, for basically
Yeah,
from
you,
GitHub account.
the web designer needs to set up forestry first. Create the site, add the token, get the authentication working, connecting it all, and then you add your dad or your mom or your neighbor or your cousin or your friend as a editor on the site. Or you set it up and share the password. I don't know. Whatever you do, you. What's that?
How long do you think this all How long is this setup work for you? Longevity of all these services talking to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, my site. Let's see. Overview. Last published July 2nd, 2019. The first one was June 27th, 2019. This is my personal website. So it just has, my face on it and a way that you can chat at me, and you can go to GitHub and Twitter. See what I did there? Here's my, anyway. So this has been up since June of 2019, and it uses the exact same stack. It uses forestry and sticks around. It's a simple website. It took a while for that to load. I'm guessing it's because I don't pay for Netlify. But yeah, this site has been up for a while. And the cool thing is there's no like Russian on here or advertisements for Russian brides. Yeah, I think Netlify might be backed by S3, like where all content lives. I don't know. So databases are, you use them for dynamic things. So like getting form input, right, for that contact form you saw on my dad's site, that needs to get stored somewhere. You need something to process it, and for that you need an actual service running. And a static site, there's no service running. It's just, here's the files, and you went to the domain and it just said, okay, here's the index.html and whatever else. So there's no moving parts. So there's nothing really to hack, unless you somehow like own the server, and which then you're done. But so for if you need something that's dynamic, like a web form, then you have to use a third party. Yeah. So you could, I mean, if you want to, there's a build procedure. So if you had, let's say, are you familiar with Airtable or Google Spreadsheets? That's a database, right, of sorts. You would just need a process of extracting that content, putting it into Hugo, and then building the site. The thing is, it's not like immediate. It's not like you go and write something to the database and now the whole world can see it. There's a continuous deployment process that we're seeing here happening, where I didn't do anything. I just pushed my changes to Git, or someone just goes into the content management system and makes an edit, just like you would on WordPress. You'd go and you'd make an edit to some content, and you'd hit save, and all that's doing is saying, hey, here's the file change, and then the hosting provider sees that, or the hook gets called, and it automatically deploys that. So instead of a second or two, it's a minute before your content goes live. So if that's an acceptable trade-off, then you can avoid an entire category of bugs, of issues. Yeah?
So I would assume because it's a static site, there's going to be some sort of like state management or anything, like things going to be updated via like thumbs or claps or anything.
Right. Interactivity, third party. You'd have to use like discuss, or you'd have to write your own little bit of JavaScript that stored that. So that is the major trade-off, for sure.
But you can put it in, like we wrote the JavaScript for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like my site, for example, completely static, boring thing. You can chat with me on my website. It's interactive. It's it's a third-party service, and it's just this goes into not my database, somebody else's database that they take care of. Yeah, pros and cons of that, yeah, for sure. You know, this service could go down. The JavaScript that I'm expecting to be like not malicious, they could change, and because there's all sorts of things that could go wrong. But yeah, any other questions? Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I imagine you could still separate the things out too. You could have like, you know, this is all static, but like the JavaScript calls up to some AWS Lambda function that does what you need or something like that. So your site is still static, but it can interact with things around it.
I saw a hand over here. Oh, right. Well, it's similar. So it's really similar because in Elm, you're avoiding a whole category of bugs, because you have type safety, and that's very strict, and so you can't have runtime errors, which is a whole thing that you can just get rid of. With Hugo, you don't have any moving parts. There's nothing to hack. There's no database. There's no vulnerability. There's no /admin that you could start slamming with some bot, because it's just a brick wall. There's no PHP that's going to process it wrong. There's no MySQL injection attack. There's nothing that you could do. It's an impenetrable. Yeah. What's that? Exactly. HTML for miles. I'm realizing now after giving this talk it's not very inspiring. But there's lots of cool things. Oh, for example, Netlify uses Hugo. 1Password, Smashing Magazine, all these different places.
I remember hearing that Hugo was inspired by Ruby on Rails or something like that.
Interesting, yeah. My friend's site, who I'll close with this, I think. Am I out of time? Okay. So the site that got hacked, it's like a whole blog. He has all these posts. There's maps on there. It has a whole WordPress database with like 20 different plugins, and we were able to replace all of his needs with a Hugo static site. First, we had to write a bunch of Python and talk to the database and grab a bunch of latitude and longitude coordinates and like write it to a bunch of markdown files. We just restructured everything, and we kind of rethought. It was a different paradigm. Instead of having all your data in a database with PHP chugging away, a bunch of moving parts, a bunch of opportunities for problems to happen, we took all that out and we simply put it into the content in a structure that made sense, so that whenever he ran Hugo build and he uploaded a photo, or he just like drags a photo with some EXIF data, boom, he has the same functionality. He has a blog post with his photo, with the little map, with all the EXIF data extracted out, showing where that photo was taken and his lat and long coordinates. And so it's kind of cool that this is an option to replace what people have been doing for a while now with WordPress. If all you need is some kind of site that takes a bunch of data in one format and puts it out into this presentation, and you avoid sites that sit on the web for a while and then get hacked, and then you have problems, and then by then your what do they call it? What they used to webmaster, right? Your webmaster is long gone. You can't find his phone number. Or they didn't send you the password to get into your website, and you don't know how to fix it. And then you're calling me, and I'm like, you should have used Hugo, because you won't have this problem in the future, because it's just it's simple. It's just files. It's very simple. So yeah, that's all I got. Thanks. Oh.
You got a plug?
Sure. Fridays. Do you know where Rain is? The place over. What is it? 942 Olive. We are doing Funky Ducks at 12:30 every Friday. We hang out and we talk about all sorts of stuff, usually around functional programming. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, come have lunch. Bring a brown bag of lunch and